The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Writer's Block Podcast NH. This is a podcast designed by writers for writers on the journey to being published. Joined Mandra Biscornet.
It was so healthy and nutritious.
Deborah Monk.
Can we open each podcast with a dance number?
Shelly Devlin.
It was so full of inspiration and sparkles.
Every Tuesday morning live on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to catch the podcast anytime on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, or your favorite podcast catcher. It's time to be inspired, feel empowered, and be well with the Writer's Block Podcast NH.
And welcome to the Writer's Block Podcast. I'm Mandra.
I'm Debbie.
And I'm Shelly.
Thank you for joining us at the Writer's Block, where our mission is to inspire, empower, and help people be well. Today's show is about a topic that I bet a lot of you never really thought about, put a lot of time into thinking that you would need to know, especially newer writers. We are going to talk about formatting and book design. So it goes beyond writing your manuscript and how to really set it up to either go to editors or go to publishing, and kind of the nuts and bolts of how you do that. To help us get through that process, we have a guest here today whose name is Pam Marin-Kingsley, and she's been designing books and book covers since 2006. To date, she's designed over 200 books in the U.S. and the United Kingdom. She has degrees in art history and history from the University of Minnesota Morris. She's been married for over 30 years to a wonderful man, and together they have one son. Her interests include dogs, books, writing, and art.
So and follically challenged men.
That's true.
Like Deb, she has a thing for bald men. So welcome Pam, to our show.
Thank you. I just want to do a call out to the late Yul Brynner, who was really a sexy guy.
The quintessential bald man.
He definitely
King and
was.
I.
And he could dance, Deb.
Oh, you know, I love a man. I love a man. Oh, that's a good point. I do like a bald and dancing.
Bald dancing, yes.
Didn't realize I had so many criteria. All bald dancers need apply. DeborahMonk.com.
Oh, boy.
So apparently we're also doing a show about bald men.
You never know where the show's going.
You like
never
what
do.
you like.
You never do. Yes. So tell us about formatting, because I know, especially beginner writers, it's kind of the last thing on their mind. They don't even know that it's something they have to know about.
Well, a few things, especially if you're preparing your manuscript to go to the publisher, the final thing before you submit it, or even if you've hired a book designer and you're going to go the self-publishing route. Do not leave in a word processing program 2 spaces between sentences. Word processors were designed to handle that.
I'm a culprit.
Absolutely. Typewriting class in 6th grade.
Everybody was a culprit.
Yeah.
But that's something when they developed word processors that they fixed. So 1 is sufficient.
Okay.
Interesting. The word processors. That's why. I didn't know why.
Yeah, that's why. The other thing, people don't use tabs to set your paragraphs. Instead of that, there's this thing, especially in Microsoft Word, where you drag it on that.
The ruler.
Thank you.
Top.
I'm lost for words there.
That's all right.
That's unusual. Do that. There's a difference between the kind of dashes. There's something called an M dash.
Okay.
And that's the bigger dash that is used like when you're separating or putting emphasis on something in a sentence. And then the N dash is the one you put between numbers and little things like that, like tete-a-tete. That you would use the small dash.
Or the little
for that.
hyphen between the words.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Or like 66. You would put that one in there.
Where the hell is the little dash on my keyboard? I'm looking.
I think it's under the big dash.
I just see the regular
I think
dash.
it's on the same one.
Well, no, to get the M dash in most word processing programs, you put in 2 little dashes. And when you hit return on that sentence, it will automatically, or start a new sentence, it will change it into an M dash.
Okay.
See, and this is why the way that we know Pam here on the Writer's Block is she was one of the owners of the publishing house that published my first book. So when I finished this one, I reached out to her. I still had her contact information. And I reached out to her, and she has formatted my books.
Did you have it on a Post-it, or was it actually in your phone?
Oh, I had an email. I had plenty of emails from Pam back in the day.
Just checking.
Yeah, when you get an email from the publisher saying with the first contract of your first book, you never delete that email.
No, you don't.
No, that's still in there.
So that was for searching for Julia Stone. That's how you met.
Yeah.
Pam.
And so this time, and then they were nice enough to give me the rights back, which they didn't have to do, but they did, and that was nice when they closed. So this time I just happened to reach out to her because I knew that I didn't want to do this on my own. Some people can, and that's great, but you can hear there are so many details, and I have to say Pam has been a lifeline. I mean, we in the past couple of weeks, we emailed multiple times a day. She always got back to me. Even if she was out to dinner, she would send me a quick email saying, "I'm out to dinner. I'll get you that information tonight." So for me, she was invaluable. I can't thank her enough.
She's easy to work with because you tell her, she'll have a question, you answer it, and then she does what she's supposed to do.
Oh.
Yay me!
You're a good
Pam.
student. You're a good client.
You'd be amazed, though, somebody wants their book done right away, and then they sit on it, and you're like constantly having to remind them of things. And at one point in my life, I was an administrative assistant, which is a professional nag. So
Oh my God, I love it.
very good at it, but I don't like having to do it with another adult who's hired me to do a project. You know.
So what do you do for, as far as the design of the book?
You have to pick typefaces. When you're doing a cover, it can take you longer to pick a typeface than it can to get the image in order.
It's shocking. You don't think that, but we spent weeks.
Yeah.
So is it to the person's preferable eye, or is there a formula here?
It's to the eye.
It's to the
You
eye.
put something on there, and then you can, little things can set somebody off. Like Deb was really picky about the little images we put between her sections in a chapter. No,
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
she
it wasn't me; it was Brenda.
well, no, I don't know what this says about me, but I like bolder things that sometimes are considered more masculine. So I want something
Substantial.
that looks like forged iron or something. That's
Right, I like kind of
Forged
raw.
iron. I like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's the swirl.
But she likes.
I like a little
More
more
feminine.
raw.
Dainty.
She's girly. That's
She's
okay. I'm not.
She is.
We make a good team.
How can you tell in her pantsuit?
Maybe the little lace.
Exactly.
The lace cap
sleeve.
sleeves.
Yeah,
Yes, that's her touch of femininity in a yes.
And my mermaid necklace.
No.
Oh, I like your mermaid necklace.
Is there fonts that you steer clear from?
Anything too ornate.
Okay.
Usually you want to use something called a serif font. They have those little feet underneath it. And there's a reason they have feet under it, and you prefer that in a novel. Your eye automatically tracks that line across, and it makes it easier to read.
Oh, okay.
And that's the serif font?
A serif font.
Okay.
Now, sans serif doesn't have the feet, and that's better for headings, chapter titles, things like that, because it's simpler. They recommend finding two that go nicely together. That's one formula they teach you in typography class. Use one sans serif and one body text font, preferably with serif kind of font.
So one sort of for the headings?
So you can have a more ornate font for the chapter title?
You could. That kind of goes in the face of using a sans serif, but that's not a hard and fast rule. I would say a general rule is do not use more than 3 fonts in any book.
Okay.
The worst thing I ever saw,
Shelley, did you hear that one?
I did, but
No
I'm
more
going to
than 3.
expand on that. But
Okay, all right.
the worst book I ever saw was a locally produced poetry anthology, and it used a different font for every poem.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a little bit much. He did a really good job on it, to be fair to the guy who did it, but that doesn't track. It made it look very disorganized.
Okay, so no more than 3.
Yeah, usually.
Okay.
Some people like to use a different font if they're shifting points of view. That was something Debbie wanted to do.
That's something you explored, wasn't it, Deb?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I talked her out of it.
Yeah, she did, and it wasn't easy.
Overall, though, she had 5 different characters. And
No,
she-
4.
4?
I think 4, yeah.
Yeah, you did have 4.
Yeah.
So that would have meant,
4 fonts. And I carefully picked those. I loved each font. Each font went with each character.
right?
And it wasn't until the end that the last 2 came in. But my editor also said the same thing. He said, don't do it. Now,
So you
I
said
did-
for the most part. She said for the most part. So when is there an exception to that rule?
I had somebody I was doing a thriller for, and she was being stalked online by this guy, and he always sent her messages in a particular font.
Oh, I think that's
Makes
good.
sense.
So
I like
in that case, we used 4 or 5.
Okay.
Because he would mix them up. Sometimes he would make them look like those paste-it things they cut out of magazines.
Like kidnapping notes?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So
Ransom
that's an
notes, yeah.
exception. And there was a reason for it.
Really, the font at that point becomes like a picture in the book.
Yeah.
It's not just about the reading.
Exactly.
And the reason you wouldn't want to bounce from font to font, I would imagine, is you're trying not to create eye strain. You want the person to be able to read that book start to finish and not
seamless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It also pulls people out of the story. Like with this, there was a reason to pull him out because it was a message. It was a dramatic pause, he's sending her another message. But with some other things, it can be very jarring. It's just like one rule of writing is if you have this brilliant 2 or 3 paragraphs, and you can't be brilliant like that for the rest of the whole book. And everybody's had that happen. Like, wow, I'm writing like Melville or somebody. You have to pull those out, rewrite them so it keeps with the style of the rest of the book.
Oh,
I know.
Wow, that's the opposite end of the scale. Pull out the good stuff and dumb it down. Dumb it down?
Either that or you have to raise the bar and
Of
do
the
the
whole book.
rest. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What is your advice to people that want to try to do it themselves?
Read up on what it takes to format a good book, like a good design. There are lots of book designers that put blogs out there. Read some of them and see what they say. Look at the books you have in your house, see how they're formatted. Most of them are going to be pretty consistent. If you're writing fiction, only look at fiction books. Tech manuals and stuff like that can be formatted very, very differently. And stay away from the dummies books because they do different things for emphasis and they use more than 3 fonts in a book. But that's an instructional manual, so that's completely different.
Right. And I know, Shelly, you use a lot of software. Like, is there a particular software that helps people format?
There's all kinds of
good, or?
indie ones out there for generating ebooks. You can use those. Those are usually pretty good. You can use Microsoft Office especially if you learn how to do table of contents. You can use that to create something, but then you have to run it through something that will convert it into an EPUB format.
Oh, right. But
or
that's because
Mobi.
there are different formats for the print and the ebook, which of course I didn't know that.
Let's talk about that.
Anything that is, just a minute. Anything that is iPod based, or I think the same is true for the Nook, is an EPUB, E-P-U-B.
Okay.
And anything that's for a Kindle is either a .mobi or a .azw, I think. I'm not familiar with AZW. I use Mobi. It has the same effect.
Yeah, see, I'm already lost.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, each one of those extensions, so Word, for example, if you have an older version of Word, it would save in a DOC format.
Exactly.
And then the new version of Word is DOCX. So each format can be opened by different programs. So you can open an old Word document with a new Word program, but you cannot open a new Word program with the old. So depending on which format that book is going to be on, which one of those, whether it's the Nook or the Kindle or some other e-reader, you need to make sure that your format matches up because those programs cannot read other extensions.
Well, clearly I will always be using Pam. As long as Pam will have me.
It's good to have a steady job.
So, Pam, are you for hire? Can an author reach out to you?
Yes, they can. I do have a website, which is PamMarin-Kingsley.com. Right now, it's very old. I haven't updated it in a long time. And there's also my art and musings on various things there. So
all one word, Pam Marin-Kingsley. Does Marin-Kingsley have the dash?
Yes, it
that
does.
Folks should have.
Is it the M dash or the N dash?
The N dash.
Okay, good to know.
Good
Starting to learn.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good. I do art too, so that's up there. And one person would not hire me because she objected to my politics.
Well, you probably didn't really want to work with her anyway.
It was more religion, actually. One of these things. So that was okay.
So folks can find you that way and reach out.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook too.
Okay.
Same name.
Okay. Pam Marin-Kingsley.
Yep. I don't usually use Pamela, even though it's on my birth certificate. Pamela was always too highbrow for me.
So we'll go with the Pam.
Yeah, that's easier.
All right.
How do you do your pricing for your formatting?
I usually have a pretty standard fee, and I do, Usually it's $300 for the package.
Okay.
And that
regardless of
the
pages.
print.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, pretty much. That's if I do the cover too. If I do just do the formatting of the interior, it's $150.
Okay.
And then the ebooks are $50 a piece.
Okay, so the print would be $150 and the ebooks would be $50.
Yeah.
At that price, you'd be out of your mind.
That's what I
to do
think.
it yourself.
Agreed.
Because you're gonna spend 20 hours learning how to do it, and if you factor in what you're worth per hour, just have somebody that's a professional do it.
Before anybody comes at me with a 500-page book, I'm going to double the cost. I'm going to add $100 to the cost of the actual book itself and $50 to the ebook, because it's a lot of work. It is.
Yeah.
Believe me. And I've had, I was at a writer's conference and I had just reached out to Pam, and I had friends telling me it was too much. And I thought, that's crazy.
Well, you can go to one of the places
the cost
online.
was too much?
Yeah, they said I should do it myself, and I said there is no way that I can do that. And
you got two choices. You can continue to work on your art form, or you can learn how to format.
Right,
and I
and
couldn't
some
think of
people-
anything more boring.
Also, marketing.
No offense, Pam.
No, that's okay. Marketing is also something the author should be doing, preparing for the launch. If you're going, you're going to be self-published if you hire me. So you need to work on your marketing. You need to, what kind of image you're going to present, what other tools you're going to use to get noticed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's several hours of your time.
You need to spend time on that, right?
Quickly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on marketing, but I did, before the show, we were talking about a blog tour. If you can just explain, because we've heard that term thrown around. If you can explain a little bit about what that is.
I
and
don't
what it
do
does.
them, but basically a blog tour is someone you hire arranges for all these different book bloggers to read and review your book.
Okay.
And then they may or may not have you come in for a little interview with each site. So the day that goes up, you'll get a Q&A. They may want to do, FaceTime or whatever that thing is.
Like
Skype.
Yep.
With you. They may just give you some questions and you type them and send them back. So there's lots of different formats.
It's getting your book out at different bloggers' sites.
Yeah. Sometimes those same people, for the fee they're getting from the person, will also put a review up on Amazon for you.
Okay, and we talked about that, reviewers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Some paid reviews. I mean, it's kind of skanky that you have to pay for a review, for lack of a better term. But I mean, some of these people really give you a good review. It's really good. The thing that ticks me off with certain book reviews is they go through the plot in the review.
Give too much of
They
it away.
reiterate it.
away, yeah.
And it's like, why don't you just say, this book reminds me of so-and-so and so-and-so, and it's really good here.
Yeah.
Believable characters, blah, 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 instead of all this gobbledygook about the plot. I'm going to be reading the book. There's a description of the book. I don't need you to reiterate that in your review.
Yeah.
Right.
But you also made a good point about which bloggers you work with.
You really have to get somebody who puts your book with the genre
Right,
that you're
okay.
writing. So if, for example, you write science fiction, I don't want to go to somebody who loves Tom Clancy. They're not going to get it usually, unless they do both. There are people.
So you want it to fit your niche there.
If I'm doing an epic historical novel, don't send it to a romance writer who does, well, not a writer, but a reviewer. Because they're not, sometimes, again, they do both. Sometimes they're savvy and they can do it really well. And other times...
But the folks that tend to be going to that blog would be, the romance readers.
Not
so
the readers you're
those.
trying to attract
Right.
necessarily. It just
Right.
depends on what your book's about.
Right.
And my friend, example, he had a historical novel, a very dense historical novel, a very good novel. It took place in the Netherlands and 16th century Spain. And she sent the book to a reviewer whose specialty was contemporary romance. Kind of a
Not a good
disconnect.
fit.
Yeah.
She said it was too descriptive and boring.
Okay.
Which it wasn't.
Interesting.
It was not. It was very exciting. That was the century of intrigues and political maneuvering and religious intolerance and all kinds of
nothing
good
like
stuff.
nowadays.
And what is your favorite genre to work with?
I'm a science fiction writer personally, and I love steampunk. Think Wild Wild West. That's the best way. Or Jules Verne. That's steampunk.
Back to the Future 3.
Yeah. That was awesome. The doc finally got a love interest. Who didn't like that? I don't know. There's just a lot of good stuff out there. I do read the occasional romance since I have friends who write it. I like thrillers.
What is your least favorite?
Probably some nonfiction topics.
Okay. I was going to say, if she said self-help, I think I was just going to crawl under this table and have a good cry for myself.
No. I think self-help books can do a lot for you if you're in the mood to listen to what they're trying to put out, you know? Yeah. It's one of those things. And working on yourself is always a good thing. So I would not diss something like that.
And I just want to add quickly, I did ask 2 friends who self-published and who did the formatting themselves, and I asked how long it took them.
Yeah.
One said 40 hours to learn. The other said 100 hours.
Oh, wow.
No.
Not willing.
Well, that's what they said. And all I'm saying is that just goes to show how, in my opinion, how worth every penny Pam is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you have to have a passion for it. And I have always loved printed books. And so it's kind of interesting. And I read everything on an e-reader now myself. But I still like to buy the occasional physical book.
Yeah.
There's a whole world in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tangible.
Right, that tactile, holding it, flipping the page.
It's still good, though. I'm also addicted to urban fantasy, which is kind of fun. Paranormal stuff. I grew up in the 60s, so you watched, I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, all that stuff.
Oh, I loved I Dream of Jeannie.
See,
I should do a video on that.
The same, you could. You're blonde, you could do it.
With the little do and the doodle do.
I don't think I want to see the doodle do part. But that was fun. That was a lot of fun, just watching all those shows.
I think we're going to take a little walk around the neighborhood / project update.
Apparently we are.
All right.
Mandra, why don't you go first?
Sure, I will go first. Mine is quick, but I have started sending my parts of my manuscript out to some editors. So a couple pages went to one editor. Another editor wanted to see the whole thing first, so that was a big send.
Yes.
That's great.
Which is exciting. So we'll see what comes back, and hopefully I'll be able to get a feel for
who's a good fit.
Who's a good fit and who's going to help just strengthen my voice and clean up the manuscript and kind of take me to the next.
The one who's going to keep it real for Mandra.
Yeah,
that's
keep
right.
it real for me.
I can't wait to see her get stabbed in the back.
Oh my gosh.
For her to be like, "Oh, you want me to go there?" Oh yeah, we do.
It is, but it's another one of those little steps along the journey of putting it out to someone besides my writers group.
Yeah.
Why do you have to be so damn positive all the time?
Seriously.
Who, me?
Listen.
Oh, I'm excited because I want to see what they have to say.
But I think she's also saying it's a little vulnerable.
It is.
That's what I think she was saying.
Oh,
she
you
feels a little
always are.
vulnerable.
Oh, it seemed like she just was looking forward to being vulnerable. And I'm like,
no.
how do you look forward to that?
No.
She's such a
That's
positive
good.
person.
That's
it's ridiculous.
Come live in my world, Jonathan.
People cry.
I'll come eat your lunch.
Okay.
I bet you she's smiling when she's screaming at somebody too.
No.
You're not.
No.
No, you have a different face for
Yeah,
that.
because that would throw people off. If I'm mad, you need to know.
Yeah.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
She's
Right?
clear.
She's clear.
She communicates well.
She's clear. Well, listen, Jonathan, it's not all positive and Inspiration Alley over here because I'm in the middle of writer's hell right now. So my editor had posted on Facebook the other day that she was going to open up her writing process, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And she had put a couple of paragraphs of a book that she's writing on. And she said how vulnerable that was for her to put it out to the world when it was not ready. It was just her hen scratching, you know? And so usually I'm perusing through past my editor every time on Facebook and not commenting because I'm trying to hide under my covers. And so I commented back and I said, thank you. I'm in the middle of writer's hell right now, and thank you, that helped. And she said, oh, I've been there. I think I redecorated a few of the rooms. I was like, okay. So it was good. It gave that shot of inspiration. I sent you guys pages last night.
You did?
I did.
I haven't seen those.
Yes.
What the heck time was that?
Yeah.
Listen, I hit send. I don't know what time it was.
Good
but
Lord.
I'm trying to drink coffee like Deb and stay up late. I had the computer in my bed with me, so.
That's exciting.
So
we haven't had
Thursday at
pages
Writers
in a
Group.
while.
I know. Because I keep staring at it. And Writers Hell.
No, not just from you.
is
Just we haven't had pages
right.
to look at, so that'll be fun.
I'm trying to knock off that devil on my shoulder that is like, who the hell would want to
she
read
needs
this
help.
anyways?
Yeah.
Who would want to read this
we
shit?
want to read it. We've already read it, and we still want to read more.
Deb.
All right. Well,
So
guess
Deb has
what
launched.
I did?
What did you
yes,
do?
I did launch. But I filmed look at that picture. Jonathan has it up on our screen.
That's Brenda.
Yes.
Oh, Brenda.
That's Brenda. We filmed the first book trailer. I'll tell you, Brenda did amazing.
I bet.
Oh, yeah, she did amazing. And you know what the really fun part was? Because it wasn't me, and I had a vision of what I wanted, I could just go and play. And so we had one thing where she was walking across a beam, and, she did it quite lovely. La 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 la, walks across the beam, and I'm like, now step back, sister. And then I went, this is what I want you to do. And she did it, and you're going to die. She's so gorgeous.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so it's being edited, professionally edited on Thursday. I'm hoping that it can be up by next week. Depending on how long the editor takes.
So Deb's book trailer, this is the way that one of the ways you're promoting your book.
Yes.
Is this Well-Behaved Woman coming undone?
Oh,
Yes.
Notice how I worked that in there.
Oh, yeah, exactly, as I should have. Thank you, Pam.
If
You're
it's
welcome.
being edited on Thursday, what is to stop you from uploading it on Thursday?
I don't know. Gil is, I don't know, does he do it that day? Is it done that day? I
If
don't
you're
know.
sitting there editing with him, he's going to hand you a final copy and then just
Put it up.
Just like
get
it's-
it up there.
Do it.
Jonathan,
He is the devil on your shoulder.
You sit on that raw mountain, and Jonathan doesn't hesitate to put you up. So then technically, theoretically, possibly we could see it on Thursday.
That would
None
be
of that
exciting.
nonsense. This video's going up
on-
Thursday.
that's right.
It
That's
is going to be
Check it
And that
out.
will be across everything.
Facebook,
That'll be your
yes.
website, our
Website.
writers group, Facebook page,
Yes.
everything, all of us.
and I'll tell
share,
you-
share, and share.
I think it's going to be gut-wrenching.
I'm watching it first. If it's any good, I'll share it.
All right, deal. Deal. Sounds
All right.
good.
Well, that's exciting, girls. And big thank you to Pam for coming on
Thank
our
you.
show
You're welcome.
and
It was
sharing
fun.
your expertise.
Yes, and an extra
Good.
big thank you for helping me so much,
Yes.
Pam. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you all for listening, and please check out the Writer's Block NH Facebook page and the Writer's Block podcast on your favorite podcast catcher. May you be inspired, feel empowered, and be well. Attention cigar smokers or even friends of a cigar smoker. If you're looking to relax with a nice premium cigar or looking for a great gift for a cigar smoker, this is the gift that keeps on giving. Our friends at twoguyscigars.com have created the Cigar of the Month Club. For just $19.99 per month, you or a friend will receive 4 different premium handmade cigars every month, and shipping and handling is included.
Contact twoguyscigars.com. That's the number 2, guyscigars.com, and go to the Cigar of the Month Club. You can stop anytime because there's no contract, but you won't. This is a tremendous deal for our listeners. Go to twoguyscigars.com. That's the number 2, guyscigars.com, and click the Cigar of the Month Club.
At the same time, if you want to learn more about the cigars you receive each month, you can smoke along with them on our own podcast called The Cigar Authority. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a nice premium cigar from our friends at twoguyscigars.com.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.